Hi, this is Dr. Yunlong Liu. In this short module, we are going to go through some of the tricks of using UCSC Genome Browser to visualize your own data. So I'm going to give you some of the hands-on demos so we can see how are we going to operate on this quite simple and straightforward operation. But before we get into that, I want to briefly introduce some of the theory part of it. And in terms of upload your data into your UCSC Genome Browser, in general, there are two ways. So as you can see from this slide, and there is on the left side that demonstrate the way to do that for using the short text files. And the right side is the one that using larger ones, which normally is the data you produced using the next generation sequencing technology. We know those data are pretty big. So let's get into it. So first, on the left side, which is the short text files, which I will give you some example on that. The way you do that is actually, let's say, assuming this is you, and your files are in your computer or in some server or whatever that those data are. And the way you do it is you will first load your data into the UCSC Genome Browser server. And I don't know where they are. I assume that they are in University of California, Santa Cruz, but wherever the server locates. And then your data will be in their server. And then what you do is you will access your data from their server directly. So that's the first way of doing that. And that is actually when they initially developed the UCSC Genome Browser service, that's how they do that. But as you can imagine that this is probably not a sustainable way when we really trying to visualize a large amount of next generation sequencing data. Number one, you have to upload their data into their server. Sometimes it's not even possible. Sometimes it's hundreds of gigabytes. It's too big to be uploaded. Second one is this way will also generate, create a huge amount of burden for their server itself. So later on, and after the next generation sequencing become more and more popular, and they start to use a different way, which is a primary way that how we deal with the data in these days. So on the right side, you can see that this is how most people are doing that. When you have a large file, and normally these files are binary files. So we'll get into that a little bit, but you just keep the concept. This is a binary file. Not most of them are not text readable, so it can be indexed, and then some of the servers is easier for them to really search to a genomic locations that they can find out. So, but as you can see, your data is now still saved in your server, okay? And then what you push to the UCSC here, in this part, is not going to be the entire file. Rather, it's only a link to your file. So I will show you some of the example of that. And then when you access your data, you actually first communicate with the UCSC Genome Browser server, and then you say, I want the information from chromosome 3 and from this location to that location. So that is a short command. You send to UCSC server, and then the server will send the query command to your local computer, which is a text indexed file. And then only some part of that file, only within the chromosome number 3, between those signals will be sent back to the UCSC server, and then you will have the ability to visualize that. So in short, this is the way that makes the server more sustainable, and as you can pretty much appreciate that your data will still be kept in your server. There is some of the requirement of this. It's not everybody can do it. You probably need some help from IT specialists or some of your the bioinformaticians. So this is not something that you say, I'm going to tell the UCSC Genome Browser that this is my laptop or desktop. That normally won't work. Normally, we need to put the data into a web server based type of architecture. So I will show you that where our data is a little bit, and then you will be able to, so that will allow the UCSC Genome Browser server to search a query within the data that in your server. So that's all I want to talk about briefly now. So after, in the next video, I'm going to show you some of the example, how are we going to load the data into the UCSC Genome Browser.